Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Rick, and I'm back here in my backyard. And here are my chickens. They're out for a little outing. They have a coop, but when I'm outside, they like to roam around and get bugs and all kinds of stuff. So they usually eat begonias, but everything else they're okay with it. So this video today is basically going to be about Hoyas, but I'm going to show you some of the philodendrons and some and an aroid that I'm really enamored with that I just got last week. So I want to show you guys that. So let me just get started. So over here, there's one umbel that I discovered on Hoya UT33, and she was kind of hiding back here, and she's probably, 3 days out, maybe less than that, of blooming. It's a first-time bloomer for me, and it's planted all the way down here, and it's traveled all the way down there to bloom. The foliage is really pretty. It does sun stress a little bit, but not too much. This is about the limits of its sun stressing. Over here it gets about 2-3 hours of direct sun kind of in the middle of the day. So that's Hoya UT33. And down here, there's not much going on from the last video. I did show you guys my Big Daddy carry which is huge leaves, like the size of my hand. And there was some blooms here, but there's really no blooms on this side, except for this cute little orchid that I don't know the name of. It's some kind of oncinium. She's really beautiful. And over here, the occultata is always in bloom. And don't think this was in bloom last time. This is Hoya species Affinis Burtnae, and you can see it's fully opened, and it's very drippy with nectar. And then there's more umbels here. There's about, I counted earlier, there's about 15-20 umbels on this whole plant. So yeah, the chickens like to stick together. They go around and they look for earthworms, and they eat the weeds and stuff. But like I said, they eat the begonias, but they don't particularly like Hoyas. Once in a while, they'll pick at a philodendron, and I thought that was going to kill them, but they've been around for a long time, and they've been fine with that. So one of my chickens there, she has a little bit of motor skill issues, but she's 12 years old, and I think the average age for a backyard chicken is 5 to 7 years old. And over here is Hoya suoesiana. It was in bloom all week, but it's dropping its flowers. As you can see, it was blooming in 3 umbels. They're really really fuzzy and really cool looking. I can focus on them. But I have another umbel back here, so this is one umbel that's going to open up in about a week or two. There's 2 umbels here that bloomed, and then there's 2 here, and I thought that was an umbel, but it's just the tip of the vine. So yeah, one of the chickens is 12 years old. She hasn't laid eggs in about 6 years, I believe, and but she's a real sweetheart. She's my oldest chicken, and you can see she's an old lady, and she still eats pretty well, and she still jumps up into her sleeping quarters. So she's doing pretty good for a 12-year-old chicken. So back here, let me show you guys the philodendrons, the aroids that I got. Really excited about them. They're really beautiful, and I heard that the philodendron tortum is a climber, so I'd love to have it climbing up one of the trees. So here it is. It's an actual success story on this philodendron. I was bidding on it, and I bid $100 for it on eBay, and then somebody outbid me. And right before the end of the auction, They retracted that bid, and I won it for $100. So this is a beautiful, beautiful philodendron. I think it goes for quite a bit more than that. So I was lucky to get it. Again, let me show you my ring of fire. It's really gorgeous. This new leaf has a little speck of green like I showed last time, but it's really nicely speckled with variegation. And this was a gift. It's a Friedeck, an alocasia Friedeck variegated, and I was told that in my growing conditions I should see more variegation on that. So I'm really, really excited. It's a really gorgeous plant. So really happy to have it. And my oblique is doing rather well. It's putting out these two new growths. So I'm wondering if when they get a little bigger, and I can cut them and prop them and try to recoup some of my money that I spent buying it. It was about $350, which isn't too much compared to like this philodendron going for thousands and thousands of dollars just a couple years ago. So I'm really happy to have it. And before I'm going to show you those amazing foliage Hoyas, I want to show you 4 potted plants that I have in the greenhouse that are blooming. I'll start out with this Hoya Patsy. It's one of Coco Ranch's hybrids and named for Patsy Lavender. She's an amazing seller and grower in Georgia. She gave me a cutting of this Hoya about, I would say, a little bit over a year ago, and I've cut quite a bit off of it, and shared it, sold it, shared it. Show you guys how fast and big it gets. So here's the plant. It's pretty big, and I've cut at least almost 2/3 of it, of this Hoya, but it's a fighter, and it keeps growing rapidly, and these blooms are pretty huge. So sorry for the airplane overhead. And the next one here is, I don't know if you can see how small these leaves are. This is a clone of Hoya flagellata, and I really like this one because it has really nice small leaves. They're really cute, and yeah, that's how big they get. And the flowers, they're really cool before they open. And let me see if I can zoom in on them. But they're super adorable when they are fully open. They kind of look a little bit like Hoya caudata, but they have these little protrusions that come out of the corona, which are quite unusual for a Hoya. So that's Hoya flagellata, and I call this this clone small leaf because I haven't seen any flagellatas with leaves that are this small. So they're like the size of my tip of my finger. And this one has a couple of peduncles. Yeah, I really like this guy. So let me just move him out of the way so that we can see the ones behind it. And I think I showed last time my Hoya multiflora spot, as that's how I received it from Thailand about 8 weeks ago, and it's grown quite a bit actually, and it's put out this really beautiful bloom, and it looks like it's going to bloom again. So it's gonna, if it's happy, it's going to bloom at every node. So this is Hoya multiflora spot. Some people call it splash, multiflora splash. It's just a splashy multiflora. There's another one out there called multiflora Milky Way, and that one's been around forever. And that one has more of a diffuse splashing. So that is Hoya multiflora. And behind here, let me just grab him. And this is Hoya Dalton Henry, another Cocoa Ranch Hoya, and it's just has a really nice, it does splash a bit. So that's the leaves when I got it, and then I put it in the high amount of sun it was getting. So the leaves in Florida, when you put a Hoya in a high amount of light, the leaves thicken up and they get smaller, and it's harder to see the splash. So this Hoya was getting a lot of sun, so I moved it a little bit, and the bloom is your typical carnosa. So that's Dalton Henry. So yeah, let me just bring up those Hoyas that I have over there that I call my amazing foliage plants for June. So let me get to it. And before I get to the foliage plants, I just want to quickly show you guys this really cool multiflora variegated that I got as a gift from Erica and Junior down in Miami. And he brought me this plant about a week and a half ago, and I noticed that it had a peduncle, and it's maturing pretty nicely, and it should be in bloom in about a week to 2 weeks, about 10 days, week to 10 days. So I'm really excited. I really like to see small Hoyas go into bloom. It's one of those things that makes me really, really excited to see that. It rained here quite a bit, I think a night or two ago, so that was really nice. And today there's a high chance of rain as well, which will be excellent, so I don't have to water much. It's a blessing, and the plants really like the rainwater. So the first Hoya I have here is Hoya Svetlana, and I want to show you guys this leaf. It gets splashy, and it has that nice point there. It's very characteristic of this Hoya. I believe one of the parents is Hoya decii, and it feels like the back of this leaf is very, very fuzzy, and the front is pretty glabrous. So it's very exciting. This one is a little more, it had some difficulties in formation, I believe, but it's a gorgeous leaf nonetheless. And these are the newer leaves, also with a characteristic point there. So yeah, this is a desirable Hoya. It does pretty well for me. It's not a very difficult, but it's not one of the fastest growing. Right now it does seem to be growing fast because it's pretty hot and pretty humid here in Florida, and that's apparently what this Hoya really likes. So this is Hoya Svetlana. And on here now is Hoya crassipediolata Splash. And I brought it out because there's one leaf that I'm pretty excited about. I put out like this bigger than the average leaf on this plant, and it's pretty splashy. So compared to the rest, it seems to be outperforming. Well, that one's pretty splashy too. Yeah, but this Hoya is so cute. It's really kind of easy and pretty fast growing here for me in Florida. It doesn't really require that much care, just some regular Hoya care and some fertilizer, and that's pretty much it for this little Hoya, which is splashes your thing. It's quite beautiful. And this is an overperformer as well. I got this Hoya about a month ago from Hoyas, and this is AH25. And if you like large leaves with a dark margin, this one fits the bill. You can see it's quite beautiful. It does have, if you look closely, some venations. And like this is an older leaf here. It's quite big. I would say it's about 8 inches. These will get to about 8 inches long. And it's a very fast growing hybrid. I believe that's what it is. And it's put out in less than a month. It's put out this huge vine that looks like it's going to be filling up with leaves pretty soon. So this is AH25. And I've become pretty enamored with some of these NAP Hoyas that are coming out of Thailand. I don't know much about them, Um, all I know is that the leaves are pretty stunning. They also have a nice dark edge to it. This one seems to be pretty splashy. Um, I love that color green, this matte green. There's just something about this Hoya. The leaves are pretty big. And this new leaf here is pretty exciting. It's getting all kinds of veininess going on and with a dark edge. So let me just show you the plant again. It's really quite exciting. In a way, at first it started to remind me of Hoya Una, which is an AH Hoya, but this is NAP7. There's also an NAP1, NAP2, 3, 4, 5. I haven't seen a 5, but I've seen a 6 and a 9. So, and this is the 7. So yeah, it's really a gorgeous, gorgeous foliage plant. And at one time, this Hoya used to be really desirable. Now it's pretty readily available, and I think a lot of people have it. It's a Hoya latifolia from Sarawak. The leaves get quite big, and they're nicely quilted. They're really gorgeous, and they have the flowers are not that spectacular, but it is definitely a gorgeous foliage plant. Let me see if I can show you the big leaf on here. That is one of the bigger leaves on this plant, but they can get bigger. So this is Hoya latifolia from Sarawak. There's other latifolias. There's one from Sulawesi, and then there's the Albo marginata latifolia, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones. Hoya polystacea that was renamed latifolia, and Hoya macrophylla that was also renamed latifolia. And this is Hoya pachyclada albo marginata. It's always one of my favorite foliage plants. The leaves get pretty succulent. This color green is dreamy. It's like a mint green. If you give it more light, I don't know if you can see it here, but these edges get pretty red. I took it out of like high intensity grow lights because I wanted it to put out more growth in it. If you put it under too much bright light, I think it stuns some of the growth. So I brought it out here, and it gets natural light, and it seems to be growing a lot better. So this is Hoya pachyclada albo marginata. And this Hoya here is quite lovely. It reminds me of that cross Decai chicken farm. I don't know much about this Hoya. All I know is it came from AH Nursery, and it's Hoya AH 0001. And I just want to show you one of these leaves, how splashy. It's very consistently splashy. It's quite gorgeous. And it seems to be a very fast grower, so I think it's some sort of hybrid. And it is, as you can see, quite a beautiful foliage plant. I haven't bloomed this one, so I don't know how it looks like. But foliage-wise, it's definitely a winner. So Hoya AH0001. And this one is actually one of the favorite Hoyas. When I post on Instagram, people seem to like this Hoya a lot. I got it as Hoya species Vietnam. There's quite a few Hoya species Vietnam, so to differentiate this Hoya, which probably flowers similar to a carnosa, but I will know that soon because it has a peduncle. That's the first time I've had this Hoya being close to even blooming. As you can see, the leaves are stunning. They're pretty glabrous on top and the bottom, but the edge is very undulating. So it's quite a beautiful Hoya. The leaves are pretty big, about 6-7 inches long. They have like these really nice veins. They kind of look like, if you would imagine a cross between Hoya globulosa and the Hoya carnosa, you would think that it would look like this. So this is Hoya species Vietnam. and I got this from Thailand, from Sarisa. And next is this Hoya pricktae. As you can see, the leaves are pretty big. They're veiny. They're kind of waffly. They have a nice edge to them. It seems to be pretty desirable Hoya lately. I have a lot of requests for them. I sell Hoyas on my Facebook group called Rick and Swiffer's Hoyas. If you haven't been there, just send me a join request and I will let you in. And you can see a lot of Hoyas. A lot of the members post amazing Hoya photographs of flowers and leaves, and we give helpful growing hints to each other, so it's a fun group. And I do a lot of memes, Hoya plant memes, so if you like that kind of thing, please join us. So that's Hoya pricktae. And I'd like to end the video today with this Hoya that I got as a gift about, I would say about 8 weeks ago, maybe a little less. And this is Hoya MA07. And you can see this is the leaf when I got it. They're pretty little, maybe the size of a quarter. And under my growing conditions in the greenhouse, the leaves like tripled in size. It's a very attractive foliage plant. The leaves are pretty textured, a lot of abs, as some people call. So that is Hoya MA07. It seems to be happy. It's an easy Hoya to grow. I find in my growing hot and humid conditions here in Florida. So yes, that's Hoya 07. And while I was shooting the video, I wanted to share with you one of the most annoying pests here in Florida is this giant Luber grasshopper. This guy is about 3 inches long, and he can eat most plants, and they devour, sometimes they eat quite a bit of my Hoyas, and I have to go around and find them and cut them because they're really destructive. They don't have any natural predators because they give off a really pungent taste. So like not even the chickens will eat them, nothing eats them, and they're pretty destructive, so I have to kill them. Whew, okay, he is gone, so I can rest. I did notice that probably that guy ate some of my Hoya Splashy Crimson Queen that I have, and it ate about 2 leaves, so I had to move it into the greenhouse because I keep I keep more of an eye on there than anywhere else. So, and that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like and subscribe. I do a video every Sunday, and I hope to see you back next week. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.